All right, welcome back to another episode of the Podium Pusher Podcast. As always, my name is Justin. I'm here with Brandon. Over the past couple of weeks, we have seen all 10 Formula One teams release their cars and liveries for the upcoming Formula One season. We are here today to rank them all from best to worst or worst to best, depending on which way you look at it. Brandon, how you feeling today?
Feeling great. I'm really excited to record this podcast. I think this is going to be a really fun episode. I've got some wild takes, I think, in there. Maybe nobody will agree with me, but it's going to be fun to talk about and debate a little bit. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready.
I think it's going to be a good one. Previously in the past, when we have ranked things or discussed our opinions about certain things, we have been very similar, almost the exact same in some situations. So hopefully today there will be some variation. Why don't you go ahead and get us started off? Who do you have as the worst livery on the grid in 2024?
Worst livery on the grid for me is going to be Haas F1 team. I think they did improve from the livery last year, but there's a lot of carbon going on, and we've talked about it a little bit previously. I think they should really lean more into the American F1 team thing in general, but the livery would be a great place to start. Last year at the 2023 U.S. Grand Prix, we saw a couple of U.S. themed liveries, and Haas was one of them, so that was kind of cool. But the one with the American flag on the car was Williams. So it seems a little backwards to me. All that to say, my opinion, I'm going to go with Haas, F1 team, worst livery on the grid.
Yeah, my first thought when you were talking about it was like, Williams had the best U.S. themed livery at the race last year. They had the American flag and the Constitution and a bald eagle on that thing, and it was awesome. Yeah, Haas definitely not the best livery this year for sure. I think there is a lot of carbon, but upon seeing other liveries, I've decided to give them a bit of a boost. So they're not P10 for me. P10, I have Stake F1 team, who is another team with a whole lot of carbon on that car. I'm sorry, I just can't get behind the green. Like, it's not the worst livery I've ever seen ever, but just the green and the way that they did it, from some angles, the lines just look weird on the cars. Like, some angles, it looked great, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, kind of a pop of colors. And then others, especially from the side, I'm like, it looks like a Z. Like, what is this? And so I just can't get behind it. The green and black, maybe if they threw in some more white to like kind of give it some more contrast of colors, I don't know, but just the stark green and the black and not a lot else going on. It's got to be last place for me.
I'll save my thoughts for that one till a little later, but interesting pick.
Must mean he's got it a little bit higher. P9, who you got second to last?
P9, I've got Alpine. Really just not feeling it. I think they could do a lot more with it. I wish they kind of would lean more into the pink, like Racing Point did back in the day when they were sponsored by BWT. Yeah, again, a lot of carbon fiber on the car. I get it, gotta meet the minimum or maximum weight. Can't go overboard. But at the same time, your car's going to look better. It's going to look faster. I don't know if it looks cooler. It looks faster to me. So maybe, I don't know, unscrew a couple of screws, throw some more paint on there, get some more paint going. I will say, though, if you look at the livery from the top of the Alpine car and the three colors going across, like the engine housing, I think that looks pretty cool. But can't be better than P9 for me.
I agree. As per usual with us, I've got Alpine as P9 as well. I think you're right. I think from some angles, like the way that they put the paint on there and how they've done it, the certain patterns they've chosen looks good. There's just not enough paint on it. Like, it is too black, and especially if you're looking at it from the front and you see the nose cone, it just doesn't look good with the black and how they've done it in the sponsors right on the carbon fiber and the color, like giving it an outline. It just doesn't look good. They spent all this time on social media hyping it up and teasing some camo. I don't know why they did that. There's no camo on either of the cars. Like, what was the purpose of those posts? We'll never know. And I just think it's funny that they released two cars and they released the normal one first. And everyone was like, ugh, that kind of sucks. And they're like, don't worry, we've got another one. And then it was the same car, but like, there was not enough paint on it for you would be able to tell that it was a different car. It was just the same car if you looked at it from a glance. Like, you look at the two cars and there's not really a difference because there's not even enough parts on the car for them to make pink for this special livery. So Alpine for sure dropped the ball this year. Definitely got to be towards the bottom of the list for me.
Yeah, I will say that it was several days after their livery launch that I realized that they had actually done two separate cars. I was kind of going back through reading some stuff and was like, yeah, and there's, a second livery that's going to take over for a few races this season. I was like, what is that? So I had to Google it and compare the two, and I was like, I don't know, it's kind of the same, but okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's your fault on that one. I think they just released the same car twice and changed like one little detail. P8, who you got?
I really struggled with this one with P8 and P7, and P6 really. The next three I kind of struggled with. I've got Williams and P8, and I don't necessarily dislike the livery. I don't dislike the way the car looks. I think the Duracell battery up at the top looks kind of cool. They did that last year, which is what my main issue with it was. It seems very similar to last year's car. I am the kind of person who likes things to be switched up, changed up, especially with F1 liveries. I think it's such a cool opportunity. There's not a lot of other racing series or widely popular racing series in the world that I think have as much leeway and flexibility with the car liveries that F1 does. And I think Williams could have done a little bit better with it. Maybe throw that American flag on there full time. I mean, Logan's still there. Let's show him some respect. But anyway, yeah, I just think not enough change from last year. I think they could have done more.
Obviously, it is pretty similar to last year, but I will save my thoughts because I think it is an improvement on last year, which does have them a little bit higher on my list. My P8 team you've already talked about, it is Haas. When they first launched, they were the first team to officially launch this season. I wasn't super impressed with it. I was like, it feels like last year's livery, but you just took all the paint away and now it's mainly black instead of mainly white. Now that I have seen other teams release carbon fiber liveries, I'm like, Haas is a little bit better. I think it's a pretty clean livery. I think if it had actual paint on it, it would go way up the list. But I think like the geometrical designs they put on it, I think they did a good job. I just think, obviously, way too much carbon fiber, so it got to be down here on the list. But if it was like right away, they would have been P10, but Fake and Alpine kind of dropped the ball even more for me, so I had to give Haas a little bit of credit and put him P8, 2 positions higher than the finish the constructor standings this
year. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, P7, who do you got?
P7, maybe another controversial one, but I have Aston Martin in P7. They're okay. I think there's just so much potential with the British racing green, and it's the same exact livery as last year. Nothing has changed. And I mean, I just want a little bit of a pop of color. I'm not denying that the British racing green is iconic and it's a beautiful color, because it is, and I do like it. But I mean, I don't know. It's just very copy and paste from last year. Last year, I enjoyed the kind of little highlighter yellow that they had, kind of just a little touch of color. Nothing this year. Nothing. Which is fine, I guess. But I just think more could have been done. So I was pretty disappointed. I was really looking forward to their livery. I don't know why I thought it would be something different, but I felt in my heart that it was going to be something different. It was going to be big. And it wasn't. So, a little disappointed. But
Well, they did add a color. They added some black at the bottom of the livery and have some carbon fiber near the floor, which is where that racing stripe of yellow used to be.
Right?
I have a different copy and paste team of my P7, kind of controversial. I've got Red Bull at P7. Obviously, I'm a Red
Wow.
Bull fan. I really like the Red Bull livery. And, it's been copy and paste for the last few years. And I've been like, all right, guys, like, get over it. It's a beautiful livery. I think this year was the first year that they took a step back. I think with the incredible aero work that Adrian Newey has done, I guarantee that car is going to be dominant again. But it meant that they had to make the actual Red Bull on the engine cover pretty small. I don't think it looks great that small. I think there's just like a whole lot of blank navy space towards the back of the car, and just the way they've put the sponsors on in certain places and small text, they've left a lot of navy just blank, which I don't think looks great. So I think even though it's the same livery as years past, and I've liked that livery for a whole lot of years, I think this is the first year that they've kind of taken a step back, in my opinion. So I cannot put them any higher than P7.
Wow, that's kind of a shock. I will say the 2021 Japanese Grand Prix White Bull livery is beautiful. I think about that livery often when I think about car liveries. It's a great livery. The White Bull is great. Anyway, I'll talk more about Red Bull in a few minutes, but yeah, it's an interesting take. Well, I agree with a lot of what you said, but they're just a little bit higher up on my list. So.
All right, well, then let's keep moving up your list. P6, what you got?
P6, I have got McLaren. Again, kind of the same thing with Aston Martin. I feel like there's a lot of potential with this car, both on the track and with the livery. They have some really cool one-off liveries that they've done in the past, and I wish they would just kind of lean more into the color. I get papaya orange, yay, go papaya, but let's have a little bit more, I don't know, something. I feel like it was kind of copy and paste from last year a little bit. Let's remove some color, add some carbon fiber, reduce the weight of the car, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Red Bull's got paint pretty much everywhere on the car, and they're still winning. So what are you guys doing wrong? I don't know. But yeah, just kind of.
Red Bull's not too concerned about a half a tenth across the course of a race when Max is winning by 30 seconds every weekend. But I've got some thoughts on McLaren. I'll hold it until later. I've got Aston Martin P6. I agree with a lot of what you said. If you look at them side by side, the green is just a touch lighter this year. I think it is a slightly nicer green than the past years. Like, I think it'll look better out on track. I think the light will reflect off it real nice. I can't forgive them for taking away the lime green stripe and just like letting carbon fiber eat away at the bottom of the car. Like, it looks like the carbon fiber tide is just rising and washing some of the paint away. And so, like, it's a cool green, but I think you're right. I think they could do more with it. And it's just pretty simple. So, got to put it in the middle of the pack. P6 for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And just a lot of potential missed. Hopefully, that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about their race result, but we'll see.
I fear it will be, unfortunately. P5, what do you got?
P5, into the top 5. Here we go. We got Stake F1 team for me. I know you disagree with this, obviously, but I saw it and I was so excited. I was like, man, what a great pop of color. Something that we're not going to see at all on the grid this year, except for Stake F1. I will say probably the most carbon fiber out of every livery. Obviously, they just, threw a green line on it and they were like, okay, that's a livery. And I mean, it kind of is, but I love the pop of color. I like the, kind of aggressive branding change, from Alfa Romeo Sauber to now Kickstake F1 team. So I will say the racing kits, I saw Valtteri and Joe Guan Yu in them. Not great in my opinion. I don't think the green does them any justice. Um, but I think I love the pop color. I think it's a fun livery. I'm glad they're kind of like leaning into it a little bit. Hopefully we get to see some like one-off liveries that kind of incorporate more color and less carbon fiber, but we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if we saw some one-off liveries from Stake this year. But I think our reactions to that car pretty much sums up the F1 communities as a whole. I feel like from the things I've seen online, people either love it or they hate it. And so I'm glad we could cover that spectrum pretty well here. My P5, I've got a team you ranked a little bit lower. I've got Williams at P5. I think their livery was definitely an improvement from last year. I think they did a good job of having a painted car. It's got, it's up there towards the top of the list of cars that are painted. So maybe that means Williams found something over the summer. Logan Sargent P1 when we come to Bahrain. You mark my words. But I think they've done good combining different shades of blue. I think like they picked a good color palette of different blues. I like the Duracell battery on the air intake. I think that's cool. And they've like hidden some like nods to their golf. They've some nods to Frank Williams. So I think they've like done a good job tying the team's history. Obviously, like this isn't towards the livery. I think it's cool they have more sponsors on it. Like it's Austin Del Williams just getting sponsors again. That's super cool. So Williams, P5.
Again, it was hard for me to place those 8, 7, and 6, but I do like it, and it's cool. I like both their drivers as well. So,
well, then hopefully the hard stuff is behind you. P4 gonna get a little easier. What do you got?
Well, hopefully, I don't know. It had tough with these top 4 as well. I had a tough time, but it's okay. P4, I've got Mercedes. I will say this. I love their livery this year. I think it's one of the best on the grid. And I think they've got the silver, and then they've got the kind of teal blue lines. And then, kind of also on the back of the car, they've got the black with the silver arrows. They've got kind of several different, like it's a combination of maybe the last 4 or so years of liveries. And I think it's beautiful. Part of me putting them P4 is I just can't in my heart rank them ahead of Red Bull in anything because I don't like them that much. But man, that car is beautiful. I think it looks really, really good, especially with the aerodynamic work. I think fits really well with the livery, where we've kind of seen on some other cars where it's like, oh, it looks like the people who designed the livery did that, and then the people who did the aerodynamic work did that, and they were just kind of like, boom, and it didn't really work. I think with Mercedes it did work. Maybe they had a little bit of collaboration there, but I think it's a beautiful car. As much as it pains me to say, good job, Mercedes. I like it. I think it's great. It's a beautiful car.
I am going to switch mine up on the fly and agree with you and put Mercedes in P4. I had them ranked higher. I'm putting them P4 on the spot, which means they're getting downgraded in my mind because I was just sitting here thinking, and I was like, I don't think their liveries look good on this regulation as they did on the old regulation of cars. And I think back to 2020, 2021, when they had the black cars, and then like 2019, 2018, when they had the full silver cars, like those just look nice. I don't know if it was just like the iconic like Mercedes nose cone where it kind of came to like the circle point at the end that like the Mercedes logos fit really good on and just like looked fast. And then these cars kind of look round and goofy, especially with like the really round font that they've used the last couple of years. I don't know why they switched to that from their like blocky font. I don't know why they did that. So I don't know. Maybe it's just in my mind of being like what Mercedes used to be looked so much better than what they are now. I do think this is the best livery of this era of cars. When I saw it, I was like, that looks nice. I'm glad that you kind of get 2 different views of the car. Like if you're looking from the front, it's like silver arrows. If you're looking from the side, you're like wow, like black racing is what Mercedes has been the last couple of years. Like that's cool. And so I think it's a great combination of them, their best livery of the new era. But I remember what they used to be, and so I can't put them any higher than P4. P3, getting onto the podium. Who do you got?
Onto the podium. Here we go. P3, I have Red Bull Racing. I love the livery of Red Bull. It's great, and I think had they done anything to mix it up livery wise, probably an automatic P1 for me. I love the livery. I think it's iconic. What I really wish they would do is kind of lean more back into the early years of Red Bull, maybe a little bit of purple on the car. I think it would look fantastic. I thought it looked fantastic back then. But to no avail. It's okay. We move on. But yeah, I think, I also agree that I think this year's version of the livery doesn't look as good as it has in the past. But, still on the podium. It's a great livery. It's iconic. Hopefully next year we'll see something different a little bit. But, I think sidetrack, but I think what would look really cool in all black Red Bull, and then everything else is just like silver.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be crazy. Like, and call it the sugar-free Red Bull or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I do think like the Red Bull logo suits a Formula One car very well, and I think that helps them out with that. Like, it just looks iconic. Like, it is going to be a livery that is like synonymous with this era of Formula One for decades and decades to come, and that's awesome. My problem is every time they do a one-off livery, whether it be for testing, for a race, we saw the 3 last year, it always looks better than this version. And like, I'm like, this version is awesome, but the marketing team and design team at Red Bull is so good, which we see from the social media, all this stuff, that anytime they cook up something special, it's crazy good. I'm like, why not run one of these for the whole year? Like, this looks awesome. Just run it for the whole year. You guys have got these things in your back pocket. Just do it. But alas, can't change it. That's all right. I got another team that does a lot of one-off liveries in my P3. I've got McLaren. I think this year's livery is very good. I think it's kind of a combination of two of the special liveries they ran last year, their chrome livery and then the triple crown livery that they ran at Monaco. I feel like it's kind of the combination of those two. I thought those were their best one-off liveries of the season. So I thought it was great. And I think the chrome numbers on the car look really good. I really like that. And then they got rid of the blue, which they had been saying was for their golf sponsorship. And then golf left to Williams, and they kept it on the car for another 2 years. I was like, guys, you can take that off now. Like, it doesn't look good. So I just thought that light shade of blue wasn't great. When you look back to 2021 and 2020, when they had that darker shade of blue, that looked really nice. And so I do think there is like room for them to put other colors on the car. It would be an improvement, but I think it's an improvement from last year. So I've got to give them P3.
That's good. I will say I did like the chrome a lot. And again, I just want them to mix it up more. But anyway.
All right, P2, who you got?
P2, I have Ferrari. Man, it's simple, but I think they did a great job. Obviously Ferrari is iconic. We got the red in there. But you have the pops color with the white and yellow. I think it looks great. And it looks pretty fast. The aerodynamic work looks, kind of like a Red Bull, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I think it looks great, and I think the racing kits look great on Carlos and Charles, and I think it's a good car for Carlos to end his last year with Ferrari in. So we'll see how fast it is, but yeah, I think it looks beautiful. It's a great looking car.
And you didn't have to take it to Carlos Sainz leaving. Thought we were being positive in this episode. I've got Ferrari at P2 as well. I think it is a very good Ferrari. I like that they've added a little bit of color to it. I think back to 2020, 2021, which have been the not great Ferraris of the last couple of years. It's just been straight red or red gradient to another red. I think it's good. I think a Ferrari looks good when there's like some white, maybe some green, some different colors on it. I think that looks good for the Ferrari. Part of me was nervous that we were about to see a carbon fiber Ferrari, which would have been crazy, but glad they kept it with their iconic red. My only wish for the livery is that they would bring back the glossy paint, because a glossy red Ferrari just looks so good. Like, go back to the 2017, 2018 Ferraris. They look incredible.
Yeah.
So I wish that they would bring that back. Now it's just matte, which is great. I like the matte look, but back in the day, those glossy Ferraris looked really, really nice.
Yeah, that's true. They were winning a few more races back then, though. So I don't know. Maybe the glossy paint's faster.
Yeah, maybe they said, yeah, they went matte to make the car lighter, and then they stopped winning races. So bring back the glossy paint, guys.
We'll see. We'll see. But one thing I will say about Ferrari liveries in general, I think the one-off livery for the Italian Grand Prix in 2022 on the F175 with all that yellow at the back of the car, man, that was a beautiful livery. And I'm glad there's a little bit of yellow in this year's car. I think it's going to look great. So
yeah, that one-off with the yellow was very nice. So I'm glad that they've added some this year. Ferrari across the years with some yellow have looked very nice. So I'm glad it's on the car this year. All right, P1, it's the same. It couldn't be anyone else. We knew it was coming, and we just had to. What do you got? First place.
Oh, of course, we have V-Carb, the Visa Cash App Racing Red RB Bulls. Yeah, beautiful livery. It's just like we were just transported right back to the Toro Rosso days. Those cars looked great. This car looks even better in this livery. Got a lot of different colors. Got the little bit of red. Got some white. Got the blue. Got the Red Bull logo on there. I don't know what else to say. I think it looks fantastic. So props to them. The car looks fast. Car looks great. So yeah, I love it. Can't wait to see the kind of merchandise that they release. It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. If we do find ourselves back in Austin this year, I probably will be spending a little bit of money on that, but that's all right. Yeah, obviously I agree. Got the Visa Cash App RV in first place. Does look a lot like an old Toro Rosso livery, but obviously the blue and the red are slightly different in this version.
Yeah.
And I think they're better. I think the blue and red combination that they've chosen for this is better. I think the white in there is nice. I really like the angles at which they put the white on. If you look at the car from the front, like there's the white line going across and the two on the side like come out from that, so it's all connected. I think that looks really awesome. You know, part of me thinks that they knew that they had messed up on the name, and so they were like, maybe we need to make sure we have the best livery that everybody likes. So yeah, they have glossy paint, which I just said I wish we had in Ferrari. They are the team with glossy paint this year, which is awesome. So I think it's great all around. I love it. Awesome livery, awesome team. Best driver on the grid, you know, can't complain. Visa Cash App RB, heading in the right direction. P1 from us.
Absolutely. Couldn't be anyone else. I don't know. I was kidding myself a little bit. Maybe we don't have the same livery in first place, but couldn't be us.
Yeah, we had to put them first place, but that is all of the Formula One liveries for this year, ranked from 10th to 1st. We had some we agreed on, some we very much so disagreed on, but nonetheless, it's a great time getting to rank all of them. What are your parting podium thoughts before we leave all these lovely people?
Parting podium thoughts is we're here. We did it. We made it. Testing is in just a few days now, so we'll get to see these liveries on the track in action. It's going to be great. So
the season is upon us. All 10 cars launched. I'm excited to see what they actually look like come testing. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if some teams did not reveal all of their aerodynamic secrets from their car launch. It'll be interesting to see what kind of different concepts are out there. It'd be wild if Adrian Newey just whipped up this car to put everyone down a path and make them do things. And he's like, this car is 2 seconds slower, and they rock up something completely different in Bahrain. That would be nuts.
Man,
but
wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting to see the actual cars and what has changed from the launch and see if there's any livery changes. It'll be a good time. We've made it. It was a long off season, but the 2024 season is finally upon us.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good one. So I'm excited.
That's all we've got today. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Podium Pusher Podcast. Feel free to follow us and rate this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you're listening. Follow us on Instagram or YouTube, and we will see you in the next one. See ya.
See ya.